Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Noémie, and today I'm going to be giving you my Netflix reviews and recommendations on things you can watch during this quarantine. And I just thought this would be useful to anybody who's out of ideas on what to watch. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It would mean so much to me. And subscribe if you haven't done so. Alright, so I thought I would just start off with some very classic, kind of basic TV shows that basically everybody knows about, such as The Office, That 70s Show, Gilmore Girls, Grey's Anatomy, Gossip Girl, and others like that. There's more TV shows, obviously, I haven't watched all of them. So if you have any recommendations yourself, please comment them down below. I would love to know what you recommend watching on Netflix. I'm always looking for new ideas. Alright, so next I thought I'd do a TV show underrated category. So these are just TV shows that I feel didn't get enough hype, but they're kind of known still. So first off, there's Once Upon a Time. It's basically like the fairy tale character, and they're put in the real world and they don't remember who they are. So it's kind of like, at first it's like a guessing game. You're trying to figure out which character is who. I personally think it's a really good show. Next we have Jane the Virgin. That show is so good. If you haven't watched it, it looks like it's just gonna be some kind of like drama TV show about this girl getting pregnant, but actually there's like so many twists and turns, and it becomes like there's like murders and stuff like that, and it's really funny. It's really good. The next underrated TV show is On My Block, and I love this show. They have 3 seasons now, so that's pretty good. If you haven't watched any yet, you can binge 3 seasons in a row. It takes place in California, and it's kind of like, it's these high school kids. There's like gangs involved, like street gangs, and it's really good because the characters are just so intensely, I won't say developed, like I feel like they're very strong characters in their own ways. Like, you know exactly the characteristics of each character. Wow, that was so repetitive. And yeah, overall I think you just really get attached to the characters, and they do a really good job at doing a sort of juxtaposition between really funny, relaxed moments and very intense moments. The next underrated TV show is The Great British Baking Show. Now this is obviously if you like cooking shows, baking shows. I love this because it's kind of like every other baking show, except they've removed all the petty drama shit that like nobody likes. Well, I personally don't. I just want to know about how you make the cakes, you know? So yeah, it's really interesting, it's really helpful, and you could actually learn how to bake stuff from it. Alright, so the next underrated TV show is Quantico. This TV show is with Priyanka Chopra. I just love her. I think she's freaking gorgeous. And yeah, so it's kind of like a FBI, solving crimes show. And it starts off with actually their training for the FBI, so they're not in the force at the beginning. And I just think it's a really good show. So if you like that genre, I also thought I'd throw it in there. Okay, so the next show is The Haunting of Hill House. Ugh, this show is so good. It's basically this family, and basically it's like this family that's been broken up by their childhood home. Basically they have weird memories from living there, and it's kind of, the show goes back between now and tons of flashbacks from when they were little, and basically you can tell that they're all traumatized because of the house, because it was haunted. So it's kind of like it's a little bit scary, I would say. It's got some jump scares and a lot of suspense, but it's really good. I really recommend it. And the last sort of underrated TV show that I'm going to be talking about is The End of the Effing World. I originally thought, what is this? I personally thought it was going to be trash basically, but it's not what you think it'd be. Like, you're like, oh, like, where's this going to go? This guy just wants to kill this girl. Plot twist, my friends, plot twist. Alright, so I feel like there's always a lot of shows that, you know, everybody knows about, like Orange is the New Black, Dynasty, The Fosters, like stuff like that that most people know about. So I didn't want to spend too much time talking about those, and instead I came up with another category, which is very low-key / not super well-known TV shows. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about is the 3%, or just 3%. This TV show is so good. So it's basically like this dystopian world, you know, where 97% of the population lives on the inland, and then you have the 3% which get to live on the offshore. So it's like all, you know, really nice, very, very technologically advanced, and then the inland is like really trashy, like everybody lives in total poverty. So basically how it goes is, I think it's on your 21st birthday, you get to go and pass a test, and then out of all the 21-year-olds, you know, in your year, 3% of them get to move on to the offshore. So it's like everybody, their whole life practices to be able to do these tests. We start realizing that the tests are very, very messed up. A lot of them are either dangerous or they're unfair, and yeah, it's really, really good. Okay, so the next TV show that I don't think is super popular is called Spinning Out. So this show is about an ice skater, and she had an injury and she's trying to get back on the ice, and then basically there's, you know, of course there's like romantic interests, and her sister is played by Willow Shields. So I thought that was pretty cool. The mom is like an alcoholic, and she's kind of obsessed with her girls' ice skating training, and yeah, I think it's a really good show. There's only one season right now, so yeah. So the next kind of low-key TV show I haven't heard many people talk about is The Final Table. This show is, oh my gosh, it's the best cooking show like I've ever watched. Basically, it's these pairs of cooks from all over the world, and every episode they have to cook something from a different country, and you have special guest judges that come in and they judge their foods, and obviously the judges are from that country that they're judging from. Wow, the amount of times I just said judge. The three worst teams go against each other in the second round, where the judge picks an ingredient and they have to cook with that, but it's always like really weird stuff like cacti, or they do like sea urchin, stuff like that. And it's a really, really cool show if you like cooking, obviously. Alright, so here comes another baking show. I'm obsessed with baking shows. This one is called Zimbo's Just Desserts. It's a baking competition. What the contestants bake and what the judge, Zimbo Bakes, are all super, super like kind of modern. They use a lot of glazes, they use a lot of like chocolate tempering to make sculptures. They do a lot of molds, you know, like mousses within mousses and stuff like that. So if you like baking, I really recommend it. I think it's really, really cool, and everything that they bake is really, it's really nice. Like, it's really good, and it's Australian. So yeah, it's overall a really fun show. And finally, for the low-key, not as well-known category, is the show Twin Peaks. So this show is an older show. So for example, Machen Amick, who now plays Betty's mom in Riverdale, she plays in that show, but she's obviously much younger. And yeah, it's like a murder mystery, but the detective is like, he's really cool, and it's really weird. Like, it's way more psychological, and honestly, it's kind of a slow show. Like, a lot of it goes kind of slow, and then you'll have, you know, obviously bursts of action. Honestly, I would just watch it literally for the end. Like, the end will mess you up. It is so unpredictable, and honestly, that's like a big factor for me. If I can't predict the end of a show or a movie, like, it makes me get really into the show. So yeah, so the end is really unpredictable. It's really whack, and you know, at the end you're like, no, oh my gosh, this can't be it, this can't be the end, but it is. And like you remember it. So overall, I think it's a really good show. Alright, so let's move on to movies. So I did a few categories of movies as well. The first one being kind of like either war or historical movies. So the first one is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I think this one is pretty well known, but it's basically this Nazi family. They're pretty rich and they move next to a concentration camp, and basically their little boy becomes friend with a little boy in the concentration camp. It's really emotional. It's really, really good. I keep saying all movies, so everything is really good, really good. And yeah, basically it's the story of their friendship, and it just shows kind of like the juxtaposition between the two lives of the little boys, yet their similarities and how they're basically the same, you know? And the end is pretty intense. It's really good. The next war or historical movie is First They Killed My Father. This one is on the Cambodian genocide. It's from the perspective of this little girl and her family, and you know, they kill her father, and it's how she survives basically. And yeah, if you know anything about the Cambodian genocide, you know how intense it was and how tragic. So this movie is really good to depict that. Alright, so the next movie is The Theory of Everything. This movie is extremely emotional. Like I cried at the end. It's the story of Stephen Hawking, who is a really renowned physicist, but later on in his life he was diagnosed with ALS, and he couldn't do anything on his own anymore. And basically his wife helped him and was doing basically everything and taking care of the kids and all that. And he's still kind of, well, I'm not gonna spoil what happened, but it's very much about their story together and his work and all that, and it's a really intense movie. I do know that his actual wife in real life, well, they do get divorced, but she called out the movie. She was really upset. She said it didn't portray the true events. She said that it was way worse than that. So I don't know how truly accurate it is, but you know, as a whole, this movie was it's really good. And finally, for the historical type category, we have Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, which is the Ted Bundy movie with Zac Efron and Lily Collins. Once again, this movie is pretty intense. You know, it is hard stuff, but I mean, they're great actors, and Lily Collins, I think she's great. I love her as an actress. Yeah, her role in this is kind of like the ex-lover who has to kind of deal with the trauma of having, you know, been with him and him coming back. Really good movie, once again. Alright, so the next movie category is kind of short, but I thought I'd throw it in there anyways, and it's kind of like horror / suspense / thriller. So there's just a few I wanted to talk about. So the first one being Would You Rather. So this movie is about these people that get invited to a dinner, and basically they're told that they'll win money, and they're poor, so they go. And then they realize that the rich guy who invited them to dinner is a psychopath, who makes them play truth or dare, and basically they have to survive to get out alive. Yeah, suspense, thriller, kind of like nerves. It's really good. The next one is called oh my gosh, my voice just cracked. The next one is called The Decline, and this is a new movie. It kind of just came out, I think. Basically, these survivalist type people that are obsessed with like needing to survive in case there's an apocalypse or something, and they all go to this retreat. There's snow everywhere. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're learning how to survive. One of the people gets exploded and basically stuff happens and it doesn't turn out the way it's supposed to. I'm not gonna do any spoilers, but yeah, I thought it was a really good movie. It is very graphic though, like I found it a bit gory, but very suspenseful, very good if you like that kind of movie. And the last thriller movie is 47 Meters Down. This movie is oh my gosh, it's so good. Like, so first off, I think we all can remember the iconic masterpiece that is H2O, Just Add Water. Yep. So our good friend Emma, played by Claire Holt, she plays in 47 Meters Down, so that's already, you know, some bonus right there. But yeah, basically it's like these two girls, they go to like Mexico, I think, and they end up doing this, you know, swimming with sharks, where they're put in a cage, except they do it with this crappy old boat. And yeah, it's like really sketchy, and basically the chain holding the cage breaks and they fall 47 meters down in the ocean, and there's sharks and they have like one oxygen tank. So yeah, the ending will have you shook. I swear, it is insane. Like, I was, oh my gosh, so unpredictable, so good. 100% recommend. Top movies, I love it. Okay, so next is a kind of small category, which is romance movies. I am not much of a romance movies gal. Yeah, not really my thing, but I just thought I'd include a few that I actually did enjoy for all you romantics out there. So firstly, we have Love, Rosie. Pattern. This one has Lily Collins. She's, oh my gosh, I love her. Anyways, Lily Collins and Sam Claflin. So basically they play kind of like childhood best friends, but you know, it's pretty obvious that they actually love each other. It shows their kind of like their life paths and how they separate, and they always try to just come back together. Well, we're rooting for them to end up together at the end. And yeah, once again, really good movie. Okay, so the next one is Kiss and Cry. So this one I know is not as popular, but I personally love it. I've seen it at least 3-4 times. This movie is in the, you know, Fault in Our Stars, like 5 Feet Apart vibes, where it's like romance, but like she has cancer. But it's this skater, and yeah, basically she ends up getting a throat cancer, and it's basically how her family copes with it, how she copes with it, and she has a boyfriend and all that. Really good movie. It'll make you cry. Kiss and Cry, it definitely will make you cry. Okay, and finally I have a last category, which is kind of like a everything else slash really random, but they're just overall great movies. Alright, so this first one I just realized I should have probably put with the thrillers, suspense type, like this dystopian thriller, I guess. It's called What Happened to Monday, and it's, once again, it's kind of a gory movie. It's pretty intense. It's about this dystopian society where, you know, there's overpopulation, so you can only have one child, the other ones are terminated, and basically this mom gives birth to, I want to say 7 girls, because they're all named after the days of the week, and they just act as if they're one person. So each day, the one that's with that name, like Monday, Tuesday, they get to go outside and live their life, and they all, you know, they do the same job, and they just act like they're one person. And basically one day, Monday disappears, and it's kind of like how all the sisters try to find their sister, and it's really intense. And there's a lot of killing, very gory, but really good. So this next movie is called To the Bone, and you'll never guess who the main actress is. Yeah, it's Lily Collins. Really emotional movie. Once again, it's basically about this girl who is anorexic, and it's her journey to recovery. It is a very triggering movie though for some people, so I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, but it's very well done and she's really great in her role. Okay, the next one is Lemony Snickets, A Series of Unfortunate Events. Now, I watched this movie when I was really little. I know they came out with a show on Netflix, which is like a spin-off of it. I didn't watch it. I don't know if it's any good, but I'm a fan of the movie. The movie, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. It's with Jim Carrey and Meryl Streep. And yeah, it's basically these kids and their parents die in a fire and they just lose everything, and then they're stuck basically moving around from one family member to another. And basically there's this Count Olaf who desperately wants to kill them so he can get their parents' money. And they're really smart kids. You have Violet, who's like the really smart kind of creative one. She can build whatever, kind of like engineer. And then you have Klaus, who's really book smart. He knows everything about everything. And finally you have Sunny. She's kind of just the baby, but she's really cute and she just bites everything. So yeah, it's a really good movie. It's kind of more a family movie, but it's still kind of dark, honestly. Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites, so I definitely recommend it. Next one is A Little Princess. This movie is older. It's really good. It's about this little girl named Sarah, and her dad is sent off to fight in the military, I think World War I, and she's sent to this all-girls boarding school. Then her father dies in the war, and she's kind of left with nothing, so she ends up being like put in the attic of the boarding school because she doesn't have any more money to pay for everything. And she meets this other girl who is also an orphan and who's also stuck kind of like cleaning everything and being like a maid. And Sarah is an imaginative little girl, and she just makes up these stories, and she tells these stories to kind of idealize life and always stay positive. And it's a really nice story. There's a plot twist at the end, and every time I cry. So I definitely recommend this movie. Finally, we have The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I know a lot of people have heard about this movie, and I really enjoyed watching this movie. Basically, it's about a boy who goes to high school, but he just lost his best friend to suicide. And in high school, he meets these friends, and they kind of help him cope through everything. He doesn't necessarily talk about it, but yeah. And what I really enjoyed about this movie was the fact that throughout it, you kind of assume that everything wrong with him is because he has to deal with the trauma of losing his best friend, and it is about that. However, there's also this kind of like deeper, darker trauma that we don't find out about until the end, when he himself realizes that that's what he was trying to cope with all along, and it's really intense. Once again, it's kind of a trigger movie. However, I think it's really good, really emotional. You will probably cry, but yeah. Also, I think this is a docu-series, but I just thought I'd throw this one in here. Don't F with cats. This docu-series is about the case of Luca Magnotta, who basically, well, he starts off by killing cats and it evolves into something more, and basically he's really smart. Like, he plays the cops pretty well, and on the internet he plays with these people's minds, and they're trying to figure out where he is and what he's doing. This docu-series I thought was amazing. It's like a nail biter. You want to know what's gonna happen next. You want to keep watching it. So if you haven't watched it yet, definitely go watch it. I know it was pretty advertised when it came out, but yeah, really good. Alright guys, so this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'm sorry about the amount of times I said it's really good. Yeah, if you want just a full list of the movies and TV shows I talked about, it will be down in the description. And if you have any other movies or TV shows you recommend, please comment them down. I would love to know, and I know I didn't talk about all of the good stuff to watch on Netflix. So yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Bye!